Did you recently take a DISC profile assessment and get your results back? And now you're wondering, what does it mean? Hi, I'm Heather or Younger, author of The Art of Active Listening and The Art of Caring Leadership, and CEO of Employee Fanatics. If you'd like to buy any of those books, you can just find a link in the description below. In this video, I'm going to demonstrate how you can just read your own DISC personal assessment results. So let's dive in. So here is a DISC profile assessment. And this is a very long report. It has sections for just those who lead people, talking about what it is that you can do to be a more effective leader as it relates to DISC specifically. So one of the things we look for in these reports are the natural graph and the adaptive graph. And the natural graph is what your tendency tends to be. So as you can see from here, this has been some years ago. So I have taken this since then, but I am a high I, and that's something that has not changed. So if you're an I, you're someone that's influential. It just means that you are sociable, you're relatable. You like to bring people into a circle and include more people and talk to people. You might even move more quickly. This is what is showing here. And this line that's right in the middle, it's a line that says we're at the 50 line mark. And this other thing that says the energy line is actually the things above that are the things that energize you. And the things that are below it are the ones that take your energy away. Since I took this report, this has been a long time since I took this assessment. And after that time, my I stayed the same, but my S has gone above the energy line. And that's some years ago. After now having 4 children, that is why it changes. One thing that we say right now, would be good to say, is that it is this report is 98% accurate if you answered it right, because it's a self-assessment, but also the fact that these things can change over time happens when major life changes happen. So death, marriage, childbirth, all kinds of things like that. That's when you can see changes. So it used to be 20 something years ago that I was a high D, high I, and my S and C were below the energy line. Now my D is below the energy line. My I is way up, but now my S is actually right above the energy line, which means that being relational with people, being loyal, and just making sure that I slow down and find out more about people is an important thing to me, and having a level of methodology in the things that I'm doing. Having said that, I still move really fast. I talk fast, have a big heart, and I love bringing people into the circle. So this is my natural style. And as we go down, there's lots of different pages. This is called the word sketch in our report that we do, and it's through DISC-Cert. That's who I'm certified through. And so it talks about DISC and kind of the framework of the DISC's focus. So the D, the focus is on problem solving. The I, the focus is on people. The S, the focus is on plan. And the C, the focus is on procedures. And you can see that in that kind of highlight bar above. And then what it is that the things, when you see the descriptors below each of the sections, so you see the under D right now, it shows calculated risks, unassuming, rational, thoughtful, where you see the little red defined line. And then I, you see demonstrative, enthusiastic, or gregarious, that's the high I. And there's different descriptors depending on where you are on the spectrum, where you're on the scale of the DISC. But you can see that I have a little bit of all of it in me. So there's no one type of preference that's better than the other, but they are different, and we have a little piece of it in all of us. So you can see with mine, my S in this one is below where it actually is now, which is going to be more composed and calming and courteous, and relaxed and supportive. Like I'm up higher now because, again, I had 4 kids, and I think I took this, I don't know, at least 10 years ago. And since then I've had multiple other kids. So it makes a huge difference. That's a big life experience difference, right? So that natural style is who you are 24/7. It's who you choose to be. It's your preference of how you are. And you would like to just be in that space all the time. Through the entire report, though, it goes deeper and deeper and shows you about your strengths and your work tendencies, your motivators, your ideal work environment, your work-oriented needs, and your potential areas for development, which I absolutely love this area because I'm always about feedback. I want to make sure I'm understanding me and how I relate to other people. So it's important to really dive deep into both the strengths and these areas of opportunity as well. Then I love these pages because it talks about your communication tips for others. And my favorite, after this adaptive graph, I'm going to show you my favorite slide that actually will be, it's a favorite part of the report that will show you kind of an action planning tool for you to utilize in order to say, how do I communicate with this type of preference? How do I interact with this type of preference? And it gives you an actual plan to go do that. This is now what we call the adapted style. And the adapted style is the thing that happens one day at work. It can change from day to day, and it's based upon the role you're in, the responsibilities have, and who you're relating to in that moment. If you look on the right side, the natural style is the one that remains the most consistent. It's basically you, that's your DNA and your nurture, kind of the social influences in your life. And it shows you, interestingly enough, that when you answer one or the other, for example, on the right side of natural, when you answer, this is how I'm least like, that actually tends to be your natural style. And the one that's your adaptive thing, when you say this is what I'm most like, is the thing that happens from day to day. So that will adjust. As you can see on the left-hand side, the D came above the energy line, my I came down, my S went up. So that day things were happening. And so my pattern even changed. Like my initial pattern here was an I. Now I'm a big I, little s. So again, like this report is not up to date. But then the one on the left is showing a big I, little d. When naturally I'm not that, I can move in and out of that on a daily basis, depending on what needs to get done. So this is the same thing, how the words change here as we look at that bar above, problem solve, people, plan, procedures. And then you can start to see how the highlighted areas where there's a little line around these areas are the words they use to describe how I show up in my adaptive style that particular day. So you can see how some of these things change, although on this one, it shows the exact same thing on the S, but then all of a sudden now my I went down, as you can see the things I was doing there. And it makes sense. If I'm charming, expressive, collaborative, it's probably because I was trying to work with a team to achieve some things. And then this descriptive here of being deliberate, determined, self-reliant comes up from the one that shows below, where it was like just unassuming and rational. So that changes from day to day. It's important to know that about yourself. I love, love, love all of the things that are inside this report. It gives you things you can do within your teams. You can get together. I do workshops, DISC workshops with teams, DISC coaching for teams. And in the workshops, we are able to work through all these scenarios about how do you shake this person's hand? How do you look at this person? How do you relate to this person? And it's a real life scenario that the whole group works through. Is a lot of fun. And then when you're able to do that, you're able to see people at work in a different light and also be more effective at communicating with them. So it gives you these different communication tips, the behavioral styles about all the different people. And again, working through those case studies and scenarios, which I love doing in groups in those workshops. I think it's a lot of fun to see people's light bulbs go off and for them to actually see, oh, that's why I'm always running into a problem interacting with this person or this type of situation. So this I love because it talks about modifying your pace and your priority. So once you understand what your pace and your priority are, you can adjust it and you can understand what other people's paces and priority are. So the D and the I have a quicker pace. So they're going to speak, move, and make decisions faster. They're going to give recommendations. They're going to use strong, confident voices and language. If you disagree, they're going to challenge you with tact. So the I and the D, or their pace is much faster. The S and the C have a more deliberate pace. And so they're going to talk, walk, and make decisions more slowly. They're going to seek and acknowledge others' opinions. They're going to share their decision making. They're going to listen and not interrupt. They're going to include pauses when they're speaking to others. It's actually a quite enlightening and uplifting way to be. And like I said, my S has come up above the energy line, but I'm not a high S. So I still lean more on the I, and I'm a work in progress, let's say. The other thing about all of these four is that their priorities are different. So with the D and the I, the focus is on people. Sorry, with the I and the S, the focus is on people. And with the C and the D, the focus is on tasks, completion. So with the person who is the I or the S, they're giving people their undivided attention. They are paying attention to compliments, and they're paying compliments to other people. They're using friendly language. They're trying to bring people in. The people who are task focused, the D and the C's, they're getting right to the task, the bottom line. They want to be more logical and factual. They want to keep on the agenda. They don't want to waste time. They just want to achieve the task. And when you understand that, depending on what style you are, you can adjust your pace and your priority based upon that, which I think is exciting. Now, here's one of my favorite parts of this entire packet. This is like a 45-page packet, but this one is the instruction sheet that lets you describe, look at the different characteristics, help you break down and define what each of your team members has as the characteristics. And then it gives you tips for the preference and the style that they're looking for when they work with you, which means you're going to be more successful. It's going to feel more cohesive. The communication breakdowns will be minimized because now you understand what they need from you when they're interacting with you. And then you just work through and do an action plan here to make sure that that you have an action plan for when you're going to interact with them next and which tips you're going to specifically use with them and when. And that makes it increase the chances that you're actually going to change. You're going to adopt new behaviors to help your team really understand what you're saying because you're speaking, quote unquote, in their language. So it's adapting to the different styles. And I love this. Again, it just goes deeper and deeper and deeper. And if it's sales and service strategies in a social setting, it tells you all you need to do, which is why I love the workshops, because every person gets one of these packets in advance of those. And then they get to go through it and go deeper and deeper. And every time I go with someone, let's say I'm interacting or I have a coaching session with someone, long-term wise, let's say, or you do with your team members, they ask you different questions about different people. And you say, well, let's go to this worksheet, find out which style they are. And now, based upon what it is they need, let's figure out if we need to adapt to that style. Let's figure out what we need to do. Is this in a sales situation or in a social situation? It gives you so many deep and amazing tips. Now we're in the real meat of it, because for a lot of times, so this is starting at page 35 of the report that we use as part of a DISC certified DISC facilitator. In this one, it starts to tell you what you do as a leader. So there's only pages specifically for leading other people. So communicating with Ds and communicating with Ss and developing your people who are all DISCs and they might be different from you. What are the tips in that regard? Delegating to your people, helping people reach decisions, helping all of them decide, motivating your people, giving positive feedback to these people. How do I specifically do that for each type of type? So for example, positive feedback for an S. You want to acknowledge and appreciate their sincere willingness to seek mutually beneficial outcomes. You want to note their systematic, low-key, empathetic manner when seeking to accomplish objectives. You want to provide positive feedback, and it needs to be very specific and genuine for them to really feel heard. So those are some of the examples: coaching your people, constructive feedback, positive feedback, adapting your styles. So it's really, really helpful, gives you lots of rich insights. And I love DISC anyway, because I feel like it's simple, it's well-researched, it's easy to teach. And once they understand the very key differences, they're able to define, and you can define who is on your team, where do you put them on your team, how do you interact with them. So whether you're recruiting people on, whether they're already on your team, whether you're doing a team building, DISC is really a great way for you to get to the bottom of what your team members want, what they need from you, what you want from them, what they need from each other. I remember doing a really fun exercise, bring a team together. They had already done an initial type of workshop, and then they wanted to do another team building. And so I had different people around the room split up into the groups to their main preference. So the DISC were in different parts of the room. And then what we did is we have each side of them all try to sell a certain vacation to the other side in their language, in the way they like to communicate and the preferences they have. That was a big wake-up call, because again, most of us stay in our own shoes, communicate the way we need to feel filled up and to be all us. But we have to know that in order to be effective, to be successful in the workplace, even at home, that we have to make sure that we meet people where they are. So hopefully this has been helpful. If you like this video, please do give it a thumbs up and subscribe. And this way you could become a leader who leads by example and builds a winning culture in the meantime. Be well.